Hey everybody, Kristen here. As you know, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. And today I'm going to teach you how to turn your trash into treasure with one of the easiest recipes you can make using your Instant Pot. Today we are going to make rich vegetable broth, and it is perfect for all of your cooking needs. It's going to save you guys a ton of money, and it couldn't be simpler to do. So let me show you how it's done. The first thing we're gonna do is, if you have one of these stainless steel drainers for your Instant Pot, you're gonna place it inside your inner pot. That is not necessary. You can strain off this broth using a fine mesh strainer after it's pressure cooked. This just makes the process a little bit easier. And then we're gonna add in our kitchen scraps, which are just leftover veggies and herbs that you may have collected throughout the week. I like to keep a bag in my freezer and add to it as I collect them, like carrot peels, the ends of celery, some little bits of onion that are left over from a recipe, or some wilted herbs. But today, I'm going to show you what I had left over in my kitchen this week. And you can certainly use whole vegetables here. You don't have to use scraps, but it's a great way to put use what you may otherwise throw away. So I have 2 yellow onions here, about equivalent to 2 yellow onions, and these are just left over from some recipes this week. I have a couple cloves of garlic, 3 cloves to be exact. If you don't like garlic, omit it. And then I have a little bit of celery here. And this is kind of the celery that wasn't very colorful, didn't look very flavorful. Tops of celery there, the leaves, that adds so much fresh flavor to broth. It's perfect. So I'm gonna add that in. I'd say I have about 3 stalks of celery, maybe 4. Nothing needs to be exact. And then I have some carrots. I had some thyme leaves there from the week. And I'm gonna add in about a tablespoon of peppercorns for flavor. If you don't have peppercorns, you can certainly just use regular pepper, but peppercorns is a little bit more aromatic and less pungent, so it flavors the broth versus just giving it a peppery taste. Then I have 2 bay leaves. And again, you can use whatever you like here. If you had some rosemary or some parsley even, that would be delicious in this broth. And then I'm gonna add in, and this is optional, but it will take the flavor over the top. I'm adding in just about a tablespoon there of dried porcini mushrooms. I always have those on hand to add to things like chicken marsala and stews and stuff. It just elevates the flavor. Typically they need reconstituted, but because we're pressure cooking them and they're just going to release some flavor in the broth, can add them dried, no problem at all. Another thing that's gonna take this broth over the top, 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And then I have half a teaspoon of kosher salt. You can certainly add more salt than that. I like to keep my broth on the lower sodium side so that it can just control the sodium of whatever recipe I'm making as I go. Do what you like. Then we need 8 cups of water. 8 cups of filtered tap water, whatever you prefer, and you wanna make sure that it's room temperature or cold, not warm water. It'll take longer for it to come to pressure using cold or room temperature water, but that's exactly what you want. You want it to have time to develop the flavors here. That's it. So easy. So we're gonna pop our lid on our Instant Pot here, and then we're gonna set the cooking time for 15 minutes on high pressure. That's gonna give it just enough time to develop this rich, crazy good broth. To set the pressure, you're going to hit the manual or pressure cook button, use the plus or minus buttons, and adjust until it reads 15. After the cooking time has elapsed, let pressure release for at least 15 minutes, or you can just let your Instant Pot be and let it do a full natural pressure release as I did today. My vent knob has floated down, and so my lid is unlocked. Open that up there. May not look like much, but it tastes incredible. And because we use this strainer, it's so easy. We're just going to lift it up, and that silicone handle there is pretty heat resistant, but you could of course use a pot holder. Okay, that's it. So we just want to let this cool. Once it's cooled, you can store it in your refrigerator for up to a week and use throughout the week. Or if you're not going to use it all at once, I recommend these super cubes. I love these things. Each section is 1 cup of broth. And so once this cools, I'm gonna ladle it up into this, pop the lid on, pop it in my freezer and let it freeze. Once frozen solid, you can transfer them to a storage bag and then pull out as needed. You guys, this is so easy. It's such a money saver. We all use broth in so many recipes, especially Instant Pot recipes. And if you're wanting to know how to make chicken stock using the Instant Pot, be sure to catch my next recipe where I walk you through the ins and outs of homemade chicken broth, stock, and bone broth. So delicious and so easy. Until next time, happy cooking.